most Sundays I spent recharging my batteries, so I was sleeping until about noon. But for some reason or another, there was this one Sunday where I had some other errands, so I had to wake up in the morning, and I woke up about 7 instead of noon.
で用事が9時ぐらいに終わってもう暇なわけですよ。でも目が覚めちゃってってどうしようかと思ったらなぜか、試しに教会でも行こうかなと自分は思いました。これ日本にいた時ですね。9時に用事が終わって
So I got up at 7 and took care of the errands, and by the time I was done, it was only 9 o'clock. So I wasn't sleepy anymore because I was wide awake from running around. But so to pass the time, I decided, hey, maybe I should go check out a church and just see what happens inside.
本当に自分もふとしたことでも教会行こうかなと思ったんですけど、そこに行って神様のことを知っていくのが本当に、面白くて、もうそこからどんどん毎週教会に行くようになりました。
So it was just really a whim that took me to church the first time. But after I went, I began to be interested in learning about God and about Christianity. And so I continued to go, and I had fun learning about God.
いつの間にか神様を知っていくことが自分の生きがいになりました。
And after some time had passed, this practice of learning about God on Sundays, this was really something that was providing me with a will to live, to keep going. It was something that was really fun for me.
でやっぱ神様のことをいろいろ知っていく中で、神様について一つ、学んだことがですね、神様は自分についてのすべて、自分のことのすべてを知っているということでした。
And as I continued to study about God, I learned many things about Him. But one thing I want to share right now is that I learned that God knows me on the deepest possible level. He knows everything there is to know about me.
例えば自分が口に出さなくても自分の思っていることとか心の中で感じていることも知ってくれているということです。
For example, He even knows the things that I don't verbalize, the things that I'm just thinking and feeling inside.
それは神様だから当然ですよね。よく考えると。
And if you think about it, that's obvious that God could do such a thing because He's God.
そしてさらに自分が学んだことは、神様は自分のすべてを知っていて、自分の憎いところとか弱いところとか自己中のところも全部知っていながら、もう死ぬほど自分のことを愛してくれるということでした。
And the other thing I learned is that since God knows everything about me, He knows my darkest parts, the weak and selfish part of me. But in spite of knowing all that about me, He still loves me with fierce and huge love.
そしてさらに自分が神様に助けを求めたら、自分ではどうしようもできなかったその心を神様が変えてくれると約束していました。
And I also learned that God has promised to God has promised that if we call on Him for help, that He will change our hearts. The thing that we can't change on our own, He will change the darkest part of our hearts.
でやっぱ自分はそれを知った時にすごい本当に自分はクリスチャンになったと思いました。
And I believe that when I was able to recognize that fact and believe that it was true, I believe that's the moment that I first became a Christian.
やっぱ昔なら自分の足りなさとか自分の弱さを認めず、生きてましたけど、その時からもう毎日もう嫌なほど自分の弱さを知りながら、生きてます。
And before that day, I had always been trying to hide my flaws and not show them to the world. But since that day, I have been able to live recognizing that I am weak, but still live and trust God to take care of the rest.
もう本当に嫌なほど自分の弱さを知って、それを神様に認めて、そして神様がそれを変えてくれています。
So right now, I recognize that I have my flaws, but I take those to God and ask Him to help me change them. And He's just like He promised, He helps me to get better in those areas.
やっぱり自分が本当にこうやって証のことを考えて今までの経験を振り返って自分が学んだことは本当にいろんなものを手に入れようとしたりもできますしいろいろ頑張れますけど本当にこうやって神様が心の安心をくれないと自分は本当に幸せにはなれないということです。
And looking back over my experiences since I became a Christian and everything I've learned, I've realized that you can set goals for yourself. You can try hard to fulfill them, try to gain something for yourself. But unless you trust in God and that He receive the peace that He gives you, you'll never truly have real happiness or joy in your life.
でやっぱ心が不安定だったらもうどんなにいろんなものを手に入れたりどんなに成功してもやっぱ本当に幸せにはなれないと思います。
And if there's this hole in your heart, no matter how hard you try to fill it with material things or relationships, without God filling that area up, you'll never be able to have true happiness.
やっぱ自分が例えばクリスチャンになってなくてもうね頑張ってサッカー続けても結局はもう自分のプライドのことばっかりしか考えてなくてなんかねかっこよくなろうって思っても結局そう頑張ってる自分がかっこ悪くてなんかもう似せな自分も出ちゃったりして多分もうダメダメになってると思います。
And so if I hadn't become a Christian, I continued to pursue, say, soccer, and I continued to practice and work hard at it and get better. The thing that would be driving me is my own pride, but I would also be afraid that people would see past the effort and see me for what I really was, and so that I would never really have had peace if I had tried to fill my heart with just a love for soccer.
多分自分でいるのがどんどん疲れちゃうと思います。
And I think that I would go on and really, I would just become tired out by working so hard.
でまあ、例えばね彼女ができてももう喧嘩ばっかりしてると思いますし与え合うよりもは奪い合うような、関係になっちゃうと思います。
And I believe that if I wasn't a Christian, if I got a girlfriend at that time, that I would have been in a relationship where we were only trying to take everything for ourselves and we wouldn't be able to give to each other, and it wouldn't be a good relationship.
やっぱ自分では自分のもうめちゃくちゃな心は直せないってことに気づきました。
And so what I learned is that no matter how hard I try, I can never really fix the dark parts in my heart.
でやっぱね自分の車もね車が勝手に直ってくれたらいいわけですけどやっぱ車を直したいときは車を作ってくれた人にね預けたら車は直してくれますよね。
And just like my car, which doesn't fix itself, my heart can't be fixed by itself. I have to take my car to the person that made it, and then it can be fixed. My heart as well, I have to take it to the person that made it, and then he will fix it.
なので自分も自分を作ってくれた人つまり神様に、自分を直してもらいました。
So that's why I went to God, and He answered and fixed my heart for me.
ここで聖書からの言葉を、したいんですけど。
And I'd just like to share one verse from the Bible.
日本語でそれどころか私の主であるキリストイエスを知っていることの素晴らしさゆえに一切のことを損と思っています。私はキリストのために全てのものを捨ててそれらを散りあったと思っています。
What is more, I consider everything a loss compared to the surpassing greatness of knowing Christ Jesus my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them rubbish, that I may gain Christ.
どうも。そうですね。ぶっちゃけこのチリアクタって分かる人は分かるかもしれないけど、うんこって意味らしいですね。英語じゃラビッシュだけど、ぶっちゃけうんこらしい。
The term in English is rubbish, and the term in Japanese is chiriaku.
チリアクタ。
Chiriakuta. Chiriakuta.
知ってた人いる？
But apparently, what the Japanese means is poop.
どの言葉使うかいいと思います。これ説明すると、パウロって人の言葉なんですけど、ここでもパウロは自分みたいに証しをしてるわけですよ。だから彼の言葉をパクったような感じで。
So just to explain a little bit about this verse, these words are written by a man named Paul, and he was a Christian, and he's also giving his testimony through this verse. So he's sort of like me.